My name is Andrew Yarrow. I'm a former reporter with the New York Times, and I teach at George Mason University, and I now have the privilege of teaching this fall at Sciences Po Grenoble. Not entirely a surprise. I saw the momentum moving toward him in the last weeks, but the size of his margin was a surprise. Well, it certainly says that they're willing to overlook a lot of things, that Trump was convicted of 34 felonies, that Trump has made vulgar and misogynistic comments, that he was impeached twice, that there are other trials pending against him, and the American people, or more than 50% of the American people, overlooked this. I think Americans are very angry about a lot of things, angry about the economy, angry about immigration, have been unhappy with the Biden administration, and I don't think that Kamala Harris made a compelling enough campaign message to them. Well, possibly. I mean, that's a hypothetical. This in many ways feels like it was Donald Trump's year, unfortunately. Perhaps if the Democrats had another candidate, perhaps if Kamala Harris had had more time to campaign. She only had 17 or 18 weeks, which is a short time in American political life. Perhaps if she had a different vice presidential running mate. But it's hard to know. It's very hard to know. Well, the fact that the Republicans will have control of the Senate and may well have control of the House of Representatives, though we don't know that yet, gives Trump a pretty free rein with a lot of his policies, with cutting taxes, with immigration. He's talked about deporting thousands upon thousands, if not, he's even talked about millions of immigrants, which would be a very scary thing. He's talked about putting tariffs of 10% on all goods imported into the U.S. from Europe, and 60% tariffs from China. Trump says this will help make America great. I think on the other hand, it will raise prices for a lot of Americans. It would cause inflation. But I think there's also a cultural meaning to this election, that kind of the tone of American politics has become uglier and darker, and that's become more acceptable in America. Well, probably the first couple of things that he will do is he will make some move on immigration and on the southern border, as he puts it, either deporting immigrants, making a big show of that, and or putting more money into building his wall on the Mexican border. I think he's also going to push to make the tax cuts that they passed back in his first administration permanent, which were going to expire, which will benefit the wealthy, benefit corporations in America. And beyond that, those are probably the big things. It's hard to know in terms of his policies on Israel, on Ukraine, which certainly will be consequential. I think there are obviously a lot of fears that he will pull back American support for Ukraine and Zelensky, but that remains to be seen. Well, it's very interesting that world leaders in Europe and around the world were quick to congratulate Trump on his victory, even before it became official. I think a lot of world leaders are afraid Ursula von der Leyen in the EU, Emmanuel Macron here in France, and throughout the world. I think leaders will try to kind of warm up to him, try to play to him, in a sense, as Macron tried to do back in 2017, 2018, which didn't work so well. It remains to be seen. It remains to be seen. You know, he certainly has made a lot of claims about, you know, Europeans aren't putting enough money into defense, that the US could pull out of NATO. I think there will probably be a need for Europe to make more, even symbolic moves to beef up defense, which might placate him, might be enough for him. But you know, he and America really should not make enemies of Europe or make enemies of the world. It's been a wonderful stay for me. I've been so pleased to be here since September and for the next few weeks. The students here have been wonderful. I've enjoyed the students in my 2 classes. And everyone has been extremely welcoming here. I mean, Sciences Po is obviously an elite school, so there are excellent students here. It's hard to tell in a short period of time, but it feels like the students are a little bit more diligent, a little bit more polite than in the United States. You know, all have been very hardworking, very kind. Students have done nice things for me. So it's been very good.